And we're back for episode 19 of Friday Night Counterattack. And once again, the six of us are all back. So I think it's the first time on our podcast history that we've had two podcasts in a row when all of us have been together, which is brilliant. So it's nice to see everyone back. How's everyone been?
Yeah, been good, man. Just been having some contract issues. That's why I've been missing for a while. But, obviously back now.
It's one of those things, isn't it? We've got agents and lawyers dealing with you at the moment. So it's a tricky process going forward.
It is what it is, man.
Tough cookie to crack. Nah, it's all good. It's been a good weekend of football as well. We were watching the Premier League, and it was one of the most fun weekends as a neutral.
It wasn't as good as I hoped.
It wasn't as good with Man United, but watching other teams like Aston Villa versus Leeds and Arsenal doing really well as well, I thought that was quite fun to see, personally.
Arsenal was a big shock, man.
Pepe doing well.
It was a good result for Man United. It was a good result for the top four, but I would have liked to see Arsenal lose again. Wouldn't have been funny, but the positive from it.
It's always funny when Arsenal lose.
I know.
But it is what it is. And then Gareth Bale's coming back with his resurgent. Two goals and
assist.
2 goals and assist, that was the one.
He looks good now, man. He looks proper on it.
Oh, we knew he was a world-class footballer. I feel like he just had to get a few run a game. People say he's getting too old, but that world-class ability that he's got, it's not just going to go just like that, just because he's not been playing for quite a few months. That left foot's always still going to be there. Obviously, he's showing that.
That pass to Kane is just absolute whippage. That was a great pass to see.
I always say world-class players do world-class things, man.
You've said that 2 episodes in a row, so our listeners aren't going to forget that anytime soon.
It's true, though. It's true. World-class players. That's the difference between a top side in the Premier League and a mid-table side like, Aston Villa. Do you know what I mean? The top sides have world-class footballers and they just produce those moments. That's what separates you from being 8th in the league to being, 2nd or 1st. It is what it is.
It is what it is, isn't it? Vish is smiling right there, out of space. But no, it's one of those things that I've said previously. We're watching games, 2 or 3 different games before we come onto our next podcast, so we can never always recap what we're watching properly as well. Like we watched the Real Sociedad game, the other Champions League games as well, and you all just forget it by the time you record your next episode, which is again really fun, and it shows that we've been spoilt for choice in football. But for me, too many games. But for me, the one constant, or one of the constants I've seen this season is the emergence, not really the emergence, but the emergence of new contenders in Italy for the Serie A. So you all know that I'm quite fascinated with the Serie A this season. And we've got Inter Milan coming through and AC Milan coming through as well. And Inter Milan won like 3-1 yesterday and Lukaku scored. And you're just there like, this is one of the great partnerships of our era at the time coming through. Lukaku and Martinez are actually doing bits for Inter Milan currently. So I'm just wondering, let's get straight into it, shall we? Are they the best strike partnership in world football at the moment? Go on, Roheel. What do you think?
I think it's tough to call because I think probably this season I'd say so. Yeah, everyone pretty much has been having a bit of an off season. If you look at the top duos, obviously someone like Aguero for City hasn't really played much. You've got Haaland obviously doing good at Dortmund, but you wouldn't really say there's a duo with him or there's someone with him that he's playing off. I think the Sancho is there, but I think Haaland is pretty much the main man there. You can talk about Neymar and Mbappe as well, but I think with the injuries and both of them coming in and out of the team, they were to shout. But in terms of goal scoring, I probably would say so. I think another shout you got to give to, I'm not obviously just saying because I support them, but being honest, it's probably going to be Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford, because without their goal contributions together, I think they're in the top 5 if you combine them. Yeah. The top 5 duos in world football right now. So I think if you take their contributions out, and I don't think United will be anywhere near even the top half of the table. And it goes to show how much big teams rely on a good striking partnership.
What formation do you Inter Milan line up with?
So they play 3-5-2. So they have 3 centre backs, and they've got their 3 centre mids in their 2. Sometimes they're wing backs, or sometimes they're wingers like Perisic and Ashley Young on the wing. So I think on the weekend they had Darmian playing on the right, and not Young, it was someone else on the wing.
Do you not feel like the way Inter Milan line up, it helps Martinez and Lukaku?
I 100% agree with that personally, because when we've seen that previously with, let's say for example, Man United, when we saw that with like Van Persie and Rooney up front, or Van Persie, Falcao, or Rooney, Di Maria at the time when we under Van Gaal. We weren't playing the best of football, but it allows them to literally just be free at the top of the pitch. Tactically, it's really good from Conte. Obviously not that good because they got knocked out of the Champions League, but now they're just focusing fully on the Liga and in Italy at the moment as well. So Lukaku doesn't have to worry about the supply because he's got Eriksen, who's again come back into form, which is really good for me to see as well. Like he was down in the dumps a year ago, 6 months ago, and you've got Barella coming through the Inter Milan team and is going to becoming a top talent as well. But Lukaku and Martinez are just the combination that just click, and they've done it for 2 seasons now, and I find that really good to see for world football and quite fascinating because we don't see many teams nowadays that do 4-4-2 formations in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's 4-3. It's a 4-3-3.
It's more or less the lone striker. The only main one I can think of is Southampton, like Che Adams and Danny Ings together as well. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it currently at the moment. But it's very fascinating to see how Inter Milan are doing and how Conte's got this team set up as well.
I was going to say one partnership we haven't mentioned is Kane and Son.
Yeah.
They're doing pretty well. I think Kane's scored 14 goals, Son scored 13, and their assists and the way they, communicate with each other when they're on the ball, it's just something else, man. It's just crazy.
They know where each other's going to be, right?
Yeah.
It's something that Mourinho's works with them clearly as well. Like Kane dropping back a lot more this season, which is good. Son running in behind, and it's something that the Premiership and neutral fans are just benefiting from. Really, they're just benefiting from it because it's so fun to see as well.
I mean, if you take them 2 out of the Spurs team, where would Spurs be in the table? They'll be bottom half.
That's what Roy Keane was talking about yesterday on Sky Sports as well, and arguing with Jamie Redknapp.
Yeah, them two were anti, didn't they? That was funny.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous, man.
He wouldn't do that if he was in the studio. Redknapp would never do that if he was in the studio. Be quiet.
He was happy in London.
He was feeling brave, innit?
Yeah. Waste, man.
Trust me. But no, Saf, I just wanted to ask you as well, because you've got Thomas Tuchel as your new manager, and we had a preview last week for Chelsea versus...
Apparently he's going to win the league as well, by the way.
I heard that. It could happen. You never know. He's done all right for Dortmund and PSG. But Saf, I just wanted to ask you, do you reckon a Werner-Giroud combination could be something beneficial with Mount just behind them? Or would you say Werner still has to play off the striker to kind of get the most out of him at the moment? What would you say? What do you think?
Yeah, it would be. I think it'd be all right, but it wouldn't be like how you have 100% chemistry. I don't think it'd be one of those things. Werner's a bit. I don't know with Werner. He's a bit wayward. Sometimes he'll run one way, expecting the ball the other way. Like you don't know what he's gonna do. But with Giroud, you know that if you put the ball in the box, he's gonna head it in, or he can do some spectacular, over the head kick or whatever. But at some point, he will deliver. But I don't think them two would be good together, to be honest.
Yeah, Werner's just about hitting a barn door at the moment. Just about.
I personally don't think that'll be good, because don't forget running off is fine, because obviously Giroud's got nowhere near enough pace as Werner, because Werner's like one of the most quickest. But in terms of like understanding in the game and the way Giroud plays his game, I don't think it could work.
Yeah, because yesterday when we were watching the game, I thought Ziyech was just ineffective yesterday against Man United. He barely did anything. He barely got a kick in the game. And again, that was just I was thinking, what if Werner was just there kind of exploiting Man United centre-backs like Maguire and Lindelof, who aren't the quickest that we have at the club. So I was just thinking, you know what, that could have been something different that Tuchel could have done for Chelsea. But that was just my thinking, realistically.
Yeah, first off, Ziyech was quiet, very quiet. Like, he was lost as well, headless chicken. But then second half, I don't know what happened, but he come back and he was playing the game a bit more, was getting a bit more control on the ball, touching it a bit more here and there, and picking out certain passes to try and create something. But
then again, he's still not done much. Like, he just looks like a Shisha Mahrez to me.
No, let's put it out there. He's not going to be a Mahrez. I mean, Mahrez is consistently delivering.
Oh, he said a Shisha Mahrez, bro.
Oh man, go on, Salim. Talk to us about the Watkins and Grealish partnership that you're missing currently at the moment with Grealish out. That's been somewhat of a revelation, I would say. Again,
it's
not a strike partnership.
It's a decent mid-table partnership, that.
Just that it's not mid-table. I mean, it's probably one of the best partnerships in the league this season. After Kane and Son and stuff. I mean, it's definitely up there. And
Stuff. This guy is killing it.
I'm not going to say anything yet.
No, it's all right. Continue.
No, it's a good partnership. It's definitely up there with like Kane and Son and these guys. If you think about where Watkins come from, just from a championship team, and he's proven his Prem quality. One of the best strikers in the Prem this season. Probably top 3, top 4.
In terms of what, though? In terms of what?
In terms of like goal scoring, work rate, awareness.
How many goals he scored?
Wait, I'm just checking the stats here.
Where's he ranking in goals? Check the stats.
He sets the tone for us in terms of pressing and stuff like
Vish,
that.
Tell me where he's in the goal scoring stats, please.
I'm checking.
Okay.
I'm having to scroll down quite a bit. I can't find it. Mate, he's 63.
Oh my God.
Ollie Watkins.
No, he's not. He's not 63.
He is, man.
In the league? Is he 63rd in the league?
Yeah, as in players scored goals, even.
Nah,
who's around
that can't
him?
be right.
Who's around him?
That can't be right.
That can't be right.
He can't be 63rd in the list.
He is, man.
Nah,
I'm on the app.
He's
ninth on the list.
He's ninth.
Ninth?
But come on.
Vish, you're capping. What was that about?
When you're talking when you say one of the best strikers in the league and he's ninth in scoring, I mean that's a bit of a
but it's
cap.
not just the goal scoring part.
He's a striker. You said
us.
one of the best strikers in the league.
Yeah,
striker. Your main priority is to score goals.
But amongst that,
according to this, Bruno Fernandes is one of the best strikers in the league.
How many were penalties?
Look, you got as long as you're putting it back in the net, nothing else matters. Isn't it? That's what forwards should do. Put it in the back of the net. It's not even a forward.
Everyone thinks soon as Bruno gets a penalty, he should think, fuck this, I don't want to score a penalty. I should just put it into Rose instead. Everyone's gonna criticize me for scoring a penalty. Full of shit,
but if he was a proper sportsman and wasn't a cheat, half the penalties he got, he'd respectfully just pass it back to the keeper.
All right, so then that means nobody in history has done that when they've got a wrongful penalty. So that means there's no decent sportsman out there. To class yourself as a decent sportsman, you have to, if you think it's not a penalty, you have to pass it back. That's what you're saying. So basically, Di Canio's the only real sportsman ever, guys. This is exclusive and silent. Paulo Di Canio is the only real football sportsman ever.
There was that time where Miroslav Klose admitted to diving or saying it wasn't a penalty, and he was like, "No, I don't want it." He just gave the ball back to them. So it was like a free kick the other way as well. So you could see we're not going to see more of that in the Premier League when people admit to diving or cheating the ref. And we're not going to talk about Callum Hudson-Odoi's penalty yesterday. That we'll just get into a frenzy all evening. So we'll keep it light-hearted going forward. But yeah, going back to the stats as we were looking at Ollie Watkins, let's talk about.
Yeah, I just want to say, my stats are wrong. Actually, I was looking at assists and he was at number 63. But in terms of goal scoring, he is number 9.
So as I was saying, it's not just the goals for us, as in he brings so much more to us than just goals, especially like pressing and being like the focal point of our unit, sort of getting in behind. He's been quite unlucky. He should have I think probably 10 more goals considering his XG, but that's just how it's been for him. First season in the Prem and he's done well. He should get to 20.
He's done all right.
Yeah, he's done well for someone that's come from the Championship. You have to give him that.
He's done extremely well. He sets the tone for us from the top, and he should get to 20 goals. And
I would say extremely well is Patrick Bamford. He's fourth.
Yeah,
after
but
coming
Bamford
from the
doesn't
league
really do
season.
anything else. Like he doesn't run in behind. He doesn't
he's a striker. He needs to score goals and he's doing his job. That's his main job.
But Watkins does more than that.
Yeah, but I'd rather have my striker score a lot more goals. That's his main job. That's what you pay him to do. Score.
Okay, but we're
goals.
above Leeds, so.
Yeah, the thing is, Bamford
promoted last season.
Bamford's got 5 assists and Watkins has got 3. So on that basis, I think Bamford does more.
Then Bamford's
more goals and assists, which are how many more games? I think it's 1 more.
2.
1 more.
There's still 1 more game. There's still 1 more game, isn't it?
Let's move on from the Watkins versus Bamford.
We beat Leeds anyway.
But yeah, that was that. But yeah, talking about proper strike partnerships at the moment, Romelu Lukaku's got 24 goals this season, 6 assists. Lautaro Martinez got 15 goals this season and 5 assists. And it's just, again, something that AC Milan and Inter Milan, they're like 4 points difference. Let's check the table quickly. They're like 4 or 5 points difference on the Serie A at the moment. So things are hotting up. Ronaldo's still scoring, as you'll like to hear, Arif and Roheel, for Juventus at the moment. I think they drew on the weekend at the time.
Well, goats do what goats do, man. It is what it is.
What was the saying you said earlier?
It's basically Ronaldo carrying 10 donkeys. That's what it is.
Dybala's on the bench still probably as well.
Let's make a point on Lukaku that, I'm happy for him that, he's moved to a bigger club and he's doing well.
We got that out there. That was always going to happen with Salim. But yeah, that's all well and good.
Bigger club, apparently. Okay.
Bigger club.
Yeah, normally we do a five-a-side sort of talk because we're on the topic of discussing deadly duos and obviously two strikers in a team. I thought if you could obviously pick your own front two that you'd want in your team. One player has to be currently playing and one has to be a retired player. Who would you pick?
I think I'll go first, and I'll kind of pick a very obvious one. I've got a couple of honourable mentions, but for me, mine will be Thierry Henry and Robert Lewandowski. Prime reason because Lewandowski is a gunman at the moment, is just scoring goals left, right, and centre, and he's been doing it. How many years for Bayern Munich at the moment and Borussia Dortmund? And Thierry Henry for me is probably one of the best strikers English football and world football has ever seen. And the fact that he kind of changed the way football was seen in England. You know how when we were growing up, we'd see just two strikers up front all the time, but Thierry Henry would always be able to drop deep or go to the left, and he'd actually change the way strikers were looked at, because at the time strikers weren't really known for their pace. You'd always put them on the wings all the time, like the pacey players that you had at the time. And kind of him coming through with Arsenal and taking on the defence and the big tall centre-backs that there were at the time, I think that would be a deadly duo, personally. Thierry Henry and Robert Lewandowski. An honourable mention I've got is probably Del Piero and Romelu Lukaku, I would say. I think Del Piero, again, being a trequartista and a false nine, playing behind Lukaku, just passing the ball through all the time. I think that would be quite fun to see, personally. But yeah, I'm going for Henry and Lewandowski.
I'm going to have to go with Ronaldo and Ronaldo. So obviously the Brazilian Ronaldo, I think the best and the most talented of his generation in terms of forwards, in my opinion. The things that he could do with the ball, with his size and his build, were just incredible. He had no business doing what he could do with a football. So he's putting him in, and obviously Cristiano Ronaldo, who's the best of this generation, the greatest of all time. I don't really need to say much on Ronaldo. Enough has been said. So for me, it's Ronaldo and Ronaldo, the best of their generations. Yeah, that's mine.
Ronaldo squared, basically.
Yeah.
Easy said and done. I can see a few puzzled faces.
I don't mind going next. So my two would probably be, I had a few options, but in the end I settled for Rooney and Ronaldo. It was just probably I really enjoyed watching them together.
That's a pretty good one, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that they'd just be deadly in any era. Yeah,
Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen them together anyway, which is brilliant as well. But you beat the loophole there. One's retired and one's still playing as well. Like Rooney retired,
literally just retired.
Like 2 months ago or something. So nicely done there, Salim.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'll go with Brazilian Ronaldo and Portuguese Ronaldo. Similar to what Arif said.
Exactly the same.
Exactly.
Literally. Brazilian Ronaldo, he used to score goals for fun, man. Like some of the goals that he scored, like you just see the highlights, and it just looks amazing. How easy he used to make the game,
and he never used to take care of himself. Like it did not look like he used to take care of himself, and what he used to do with a football is just madness. Easily, probably in my opinion, the most talented of his generation.
And you have to remember as well, he was one of the only few players who scored a hat-trick at Old Trafford in the Champions League, and he walked off with a standing ovation from our fans as well.
Yeah, that rare. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Like you can think of Cristiano Ronaldo getting applauded at Juventus.
But
nothing like that.
That's because Ronaldo was obviously he spent many years for it. He's still a legend at Manchester United, but the Brazilian Ronaldo, obviously, he's never played for Man United. To get a standing ovation after getting absolutely destroyed is pretty mad.
The Portuguese Ronaldo, I guess I don't need to say much about that.
I'm pretty sure anyone who listens to our podcast just knows everything about Ronaldo by now, which is brilliant. We used to do like a mini series on Ronaldo as well. It'd be really fun to listen to. But no, got two Ronaldo and Ronaldos. Saf's still thinking.
I'm gonna go with one is gonna be Thierry Henry. The other one is gonna be. Does it matter about current form?
No.
This is your dream duo all time. One has to be currently playing, one's has to be retired.
Yeah, one's gonna be Thierry Henry. The other one's gonna be Luis Suarez.
That's a shout, actually.
One of the best strikers of all time.
Two tenacious strikers, two amazing finishers, both set piece specialists as well. Sorry, I just took the words out of your mouth, Saf, but yeah.
I think two that work hard off the ball as well as on the ball.
They're two kind of leaders as well, if you could say. Even if they don't have the armband, they're two leaders on the pitch as well, which is brilliant.
One does like to bite here and there, but
protect your shoulders.
Yeah, protect your shoulders. You need them. American football style shoulder pads. Shoulder pads. You need to wear them when you play. With Luis Suarez, the reason why I chose Luis Suarez is because I've always liked him. Even in his Liverpool days, he made Daniel Sturridge look like a world-class striker.
He definitely did. Got Sturridge in the World Cup squad that year as well.
Yeah, he was good, but he wasn't like what people ought to be. But he made Sturridge look like he was like top tier player. But that was because of Suarez, just passing the ball through to him. Yeah, Suarez and Thierry Henry, clinical finishes.
Deadly duo, literally right there in the title. Go on, Roheel, finish it off. What have you got for us?
I'm gonna go with Cristiano Ronaldo, which probably expected, greatest of all time, and I'm gonna go with George Best as well. I think two Ballon d'Or winners, two of the players that wore the iconic number 7 shirt, the biggest club in the world, and I think a duo where two generations come together. Because for me, obviously George Best, I didn't see any of him, obviously. Him obviously in live or anything like that, but I think with me it's like the elder generation of my family, like my uncles and all of them, they always said you think Ronaldo's good and you think this guy's good, but you never watch George Best play. And they said that you look at the surfaces he played on, and obviously the way defenders were built and the way they used to attack their people and attack the strikers. He goes, if you look at the way the guy used to move on the ball, he goes, they say to me regularly, because if Cristiano Ronaldo and other players like that were in that era, they wouldn't last. And obviously, I wouldn't be able to tell, but I think that's a duo I'd love to see, because both of them have done it at the top of their game. Both of them have obviously represented countries as well, who probably not been favourites in any big tournaments, especially George Best played for someone like Northern Ireland, but I think for their club, they gave everything. They won the lot, both Ballon d'Or winners as well. And I think just seeing them two play, I think tall men, they just got something about them. It's like an aura about them. Everything's about them. And I think seeing them two play together, they can header the ball, they can move with the ball, dribble, they can do the lot. And that's what I'd love to see them two play. But obviously we won't end up getting that. But that would have been something I would have loved to see.
And that's just something that, looking back, like, you know how we have these past and present conversations in other sports as well. That would have been something just magnificent to do as well. Just to see how George Best and Cristiano Ronaldo did. And I think you can do that on like Ultimate Team now anyway. Like playing with past legends and people like that as well.
On the back of that, I've got a question. But before I say this question, I'm just gonna read out a quick list. Yeah. Okay. So this is a list of players, and then I'm gonna ask you a question. Batistuta, Raul, Klinsmann, Shevchenko, Shearer, Van Basten, George Weah, Baggio, Romario, Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, Henry, Del Piero, Kluivert. My question is, were the forwards or attackers in the 90s better than they are now, or are the ones now better than the ones from the 90s?
That's a sick question. I think that's something that
I think about it quite a lot, you know.
I was thinking about it as well. Like when you look at when players back in the day, they were, like we said before, they're in partnerships, isn't it? They had a strike partner who do like the dirty work and they'd be able to score the goals. And it was only when you kind of saw, like in this day and age, you see a lot of strikers just playing bad themselves, isn't it? Lewandowski's a lone striker. That's a good question though. I would say probably the players in the 90s personally. Football was rougher back then. There was a lot more physical contacts at the time. I think there's
but even Lazio during the 90s was a mad team.
Ajax in the 90s as well were a mad team as well. Patrick Kluivert on the list was for that reason as well. Batistuta with Fiorentina. Looking at Romario for the Brazilian teams. Again,
see these names, it's like these are unbelievable players.
Yeah,
Obviously, like Cristiano
I
Ronaldo.
agree with that. I agree with that, but I think you have to look at it from all angles, because I think with this debate you'll never ever be able to come to a straight answer. Like I myself, I'm 50-50 down the middle. But I just think if you look at the numbers the strikers are doing in this day and age, they never used to do it then. But that could also be because they were better defenders than what they are now. That's another way to look at it. But do we think really the standard of football has dropped, or has the game become more entertaining, and are players starting to score more goals? And I think that's where it gets a bit confusing, because we do hear all these big names, and you've seen the Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, all the big names you mentioned. But then obviously you look at the Ronaldo, the Messi, Mbappe, Neymar. You look at Ribéry, Robben when they were in a shout Ballon d'Or. You look at all the top strikers of our time, our generation, and I think it's pretty close to call, because you have to take in a lot of things into consideration. But for me, I wouldn't be able to put my hand on one. I'll have to be straight down the middle.
What I would say for me is that I think the players before had more talent. When I say talent, is the things they could do with the football. Things they could do with the football. I think there were quite a lot more players that could do much more with the football than there are now. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think it's another reason is because now look, the technology is more advanced now. Now you're watching games from like 6 different angles. So a manager will sit you down and he'll show you, the game from so many different angles. Say, this is where you need to improve. This is what you need to do. This is where we want to see the improvement. Back then, obviously, the technology wasn't like that. So I think it was more, like I said, raw talent. It's just pure raw talent and understanding of the game. And
there's even sports science as well. Though sports science makes a massive difference. It adds probably 5, 6, 7 years onto your career.
Exactly.
Imagine if the Brazilian Ronaldo had like legitimate sports science like now back then.
Right. So like muscle recovery and things like that. Like players nowadays, they've got the latest top of the range technology.
Everything.
That recovers their muscles a lot
down to the inch of muscle fiber.
And even little things as well.
If we're thinking of it that way, then that's like us saying, okay, the generation of players 20 years before that, are we going to class them as better? Because the generation we're talking about probably had better technology or better chances than the previous generation to them.
No, it's like bringing in like opposition scouting as well into it as well. Like you get to watch your, like even with the technology thing that Sap brought up, you get to watch your oppositions on TV every game without even have to go into like your opposition scouts office to, and again, analyze what their defenders are doing. Like Man United playing Man City this weekend, and you can be damn sure that Pep Guardiola's got his defenders looking at how Rashford and Fernandes are moving at the moment. Greenwood's moving at the moment. I think that's something to add as well. But something I'd like to say as well is the way the striker position has changed over the years. You know how our first name was Friday Night Trequartistas, and I was like, Trequartistas is a withdrawn forward, is a false number 9. Someone like Aris beloved Francesco Totti, Alessandro Del Piero, Lionel Messi from there as well. No, it's true. They were withdrawn forwards. They weren't up against the shoulder of the defender all the time. They play 5-10 yards back, and they revolutionized the role. You've had target men that you've seen there. You've got goal poachers like Hernandez. You've got clinical number 9s like Ruud van Nistelrooy. You've got so many different types of strikers. And even like in this day and age, what would you class Harry Kane as? A striker. He's not a poacher. He's not a classic target man. There's a bit of everything at the moment. So you can kind of do, he's got a lot in his locker, basically.
Yeah, I'd say football changed a lot. Like, when Roheel was saying, like, he doesn't know sort of the players before were better or the players today were better. But even, like, defensively, like, you could say defenders are a lot better as well now in terms of, like, teams playing in, like, defensive shapes and, that kind of stuff. I mean, the game is more, I don't know, I'd probably, not that obviously we can't really talk about football before we started watching it because I don't really know much, but I'd probably say the game has moved on a lot. I'd say it's more tactical. I'd say that's definitely the case. Even like if you go into details like set pieces and stuff, like zonal marking probably didn't even exist before, just as an example. But
yeah, that's a lot to go on as well. And it's just a debate, like Roheel said, it's going to go until the end of time and you'll never be able to settle it. But
one thing I want to interrupt again, but one thing I want to touch upon what Salim said, obviously regarding defenders, I think the game has evolved, and I think the reason why you've got so many different strikers now is because the defenders are starting to play different. I think before you'd obviously see just a standard formation with every team of 4-4-2, and your back four would basically stay as your back four. Your fullbacks might occasionally go up, but they wouldn't. But I think in this day and age now, you look at all the top teams and the ones that are conquering world football, you've got two ball-playing centre-backs who will move forward with the ball and who will get the rest of the team forward. And that's what's making the attack of the opposition having to graft and come back. So obviously, where strikers in the past wouldn't have to come running back to help their team out, they're now having to do that. It's like now if you take a right winger or a left winger as a perfect example, the only reason why you really have to backtrack and help your team out is if the left back or the right back have gone. If your left back and your right back haven't gone, your manager's not going to be on your case for you to get back. But as soon as your left back and right back on and you haven't followed them, that's an extra man on the other side of the pitch for the opposition to score. And I think that's where the game's changed quite a bit. And hence why we're starting to see different strikers. I think you look at prime examples of players like Carlos Tevez in his prime, Luis Suarez, players like that. They're pretty much proper workhorses. Like they get you the goals and they got the technique, but they're off the ball work and off the ball movement. You look at Cavani now for Manchester United. The reason why we look at complete different side with Cavani in there is because the amount of work he does off the ball. He's the oldest guy that we've got as a forward option, and yet he's putting the rest of them to shame. You don't see Martial or Rashford do the work Edinson Cavani does. And a lot of it does come down to experience as well, I guess, playing obviously at a top level for a certain amount of time.
And goes into the mentality state as well. But even with the strikers, you're talking about strikers, Roheel. I did a conversation with one of my friends about Henry and Van Nistelrooy and how Henry carried on his career after the Premier League at Barcelona, and Van Nistelrooy kind of faltered at Real Madrid and went down to Malaga and stuff. That was because Henry had adapted his game to become more than just a normal striker, a normal goal scorer. Van Nistelrooy didn't. He was always that fox in the box, number 9 type striker. And I think that's one of those things that you were just saying there. The game evolves so much, and with players like, let's say, for example, Cavani or Haaland, or like clinical goal scorers that we've seen over the years, they've always adapted their games. They've always strived for greatness. And that's something that Arif can kind of agree with when looking at players like Ronaldo as well, going from a winger to a centre forward who's, again, trying to just score goals, finish goals off every now and then. And there's the beauty in football, really, of just being able to adapt your game every 5-10 years as well. Sergio Aguero, Salim, is a prime example. Under Pellegrini and under Mancini, he was really good as like a normal striker, number 9, going through on the last man. He adapted properly to Pep Guardiola's tactics and his techniques in that first season. And then in the second season, third season, Centurion's team as well is brilliant. Again, not brilliant for us Man United fans, but you can see the change in his game, which is brilliant to see.
Yeah, definitely one of the best strikers to play in the Prem. We're really lucky to have had him.
He's all right.
And just to leave the striker conversation, let's go back to where we were on Lukaku and Martinez. Who do we think is going to win the Serie A? I think AC Milan can still win the Serie A, but I don't mind who wins either way.
I'll be honest with you. I think Juventus is still in with a shot. I think it's pretty much close, and I think it's anyone to take. But I think the main worry for all teams in the Serie A that we've seen over the past few seasons is consistency. None of them have shown it. All right, I know Juventus have won like 8 or 9 runs. They're probably the ones who you can separate from the rest. But I think you look at teams like AC Milan, Roma, and Inter Milan, and I think it's been a case of one season they finished towards the top and they're challenging. They're putting a bit of pressure on Juventus. Or one season they're not. So I still wouldn't write Juventus off. Obviously, I know I do say Ronaldo carries 10 donkeys, but they do have quality players, and I think I do say that out of frustration, because you see the quality of the likes of Dybala and obviously Ronaldo and the players around them and how good they can get and play. You look at Aaron Ramsey as well. He was a quality player. He hit the ground running as well when he started off in Serie A, but it just seems that none of their players have got consistency as well. And I think that's why this is probably going to be the probably most entertaining title race in the whole of Europe, because I do really think it'll go down to the wire, which is obviously good from a neutral point of view watching. But I think Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus, I think they're all in there with the shout still. And I think it'll be very close. If I had to pick one, I'm obviously going to back my boy Ronaldo. That's just how it is. If anyone can get his team out of a situation like this, it's going to be him. But yeah, you can't obviously write Inter Milan, you can't write AC Milan. But I would say the favourites for me are Inter Milan. And if you look at all 3 squads, player by player, you'd probably say Inter Milan have got the best squad. If you look at it from top to bottom, they are favourites. But I'm backing Ronaldo to get his team out of this one.
And ever since they got knocked out of Europe, they've just been on fire, like we said before. They don't have that European distraction, and Man United are playing AC Milan in the Europa League coming up as well, which is going to be a big distraction for them.
I don't want Inter Milan to win it. I wouldn't mind. Well, I'd want Juventus to win it.
Why not?
I prefer AC Milan over Inter Milan, especially. I've always preferred AC Milan over Inter Milan. I'd want Juventus to win it. But who I think is going to win it, I think is going to be Inter Milan.
I think Inter Milan will win it.
Inter Milan. They're 4 points top at the moment as well. So what?
Yeah, I just think, Lukaku and will sort of carry him to it. Well, not carry him to it, but he'll get the goals in.
No, that makes sense.
How many games left?
They've got 14 games left?
14.
They've got 24 games in? Yeah, 24 games in.
14 games?
Yeah. There's a 4-point difference at the top.
Still wide open.
Yes, very wide open. And Juve is what, third or fourth? Fourth.
Third with a game in hand.
Yeah, the thing is, I got a feeling Juve are just going to grip it right at the end. But
let's hope so.
If I had to choose one, I think Inter Milan will do it.
Nah, it's all well and good. And that's our little Serie A talk and our striker talk over. And then, so our Instagram has got my new scouting reports up as well. I did, 4 on the last week, which was good for the Champions League and Europa League. Milinkovic, Savic, Asensio, Modibo Sagnan and Jacob Ramsey, Aston Villa against Leeds. So I thought that was quite fun to see and to watch football, again, in a scout's point of view. But realistically, it's just one of those things that I just like doing personally. So if anyone's actually interested in looking at my scouting reports, they're on our Instagram account, Friday Night Counter Attack. And that's my little plug there. But yeah, Roheel, do you want to take us through the weekend's games coming up? Actually, we've got midweek games as well, haven't we? But then again, by the time this gets released, it'll be Friday.
This isn't get Friday, so we'll go on the weekends.
Sweet, go for it.
We'll just go around one by one. I'll ask you all. I'll just throw you a fixture and just give me your prediction straight away.
Brilliant.
We've got Burnley, Arsenal. Burnley at home, Turf Moor. Arsenal obviously in a bit of form now as well. So I'll go with the Arif first. What do you reckon, Burnley, Arsenal?
2-0 Arsenal.
Cool. You got Sheffield United, Southampton. Sheffield United obviously desperate for points. Probably looking like they are going to get relegated now. I think it's just too much of an uphill task. Sheffield United are playing home though. So Sal, what do you reckon?
Probably go 1-1.
Fair enough. And then you got Brighton, Leicester. I'll go with you, Hamza.
Let's talk about Maddison as well. So, but then again, Brighton.
I think they're missing quite a few players, Leicester, aren't they?
Yeah,
7 injuries.
7 injuries, but no one was talking about it, as James Maddison said, and then he got injured himself as well, which is quite fun.
Absolute baller, by the way.
He should be in the Euro squad. It is a very fun player to watch. Really good transitional midfielder as well, James Maddison. I'm not going to bring the stats out. Just watch him for yourself.
The best English number 10 right there.
Was it Brighton at home, was it?
Yeah, Brighton at home.
Brighton at home, I'd say probably 1-0 Leicester, personally. Brighton can't score to save their life at the moment. Missing 2 penalties. That free kick, that VAR thing with the free kick, that was awful if any of you saw that. If any of our listeners saw that. That was ridiculous. But yeah, 1-0 Leicester.
Cool. I'm going to miss you out for the second half because we've got one fixture left on Saturday and there's only one man to ask about this, and it's the Midlands derby. It's Aston Villa versus Wolves. So what do you reckon, Sally? Are your boys going to do it or what?
Wolves all day, man.
I'll just put 2 things
in. Not on their level.
All right. That's weird for a West Brom fan hyping up Wolves. But so firstly we beat Arif's uncle's team on the weekend, which
Yeah, put the bus and just about. So
we didn't park the bus, but then the other one is we're going to beat
bus and the coach.
We're going to beat Sheffield United midweek 2-0, and we're going to beat Wolves as well 1-0.
And then we'll go Sunday. We'll come to you, Arif. West Brom, Newcastle.
I think it's going to be 2-0 Newcastle. Actually, no, I think it's going to be 3-0 Newcastle. I could see it being.
He's clever, this guy. He doesn't bet for his team. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to jinx it. Clever.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 3-0 Newcastle.
You got Liverpool, Fulham. Fulham on a bit of a decent run. But obviously, Liverpool getting 3 points against Sheffield as well. They have got quite a few problems. Obviously, Jordan Henderson joins the injury list. So, Saf, what do you reckon? Liverpool, Fulham. Liverpool playing at Anfield.
Liverpool, Fulham, 3-1 Liverpool.
Manchester derby. Manchester City pretty much ran away with the title, lads.
Can't deal with this stress, man.
United not really being very good in the big games, I must say. Obviously, you guys know how much I've been ranting about it.
If we don't go for it this game, oh my days!
I'm gonna ask Hamza. Hamza, what do you reckon? See United at the
Etihad. Go yourself.
No, we'll all go for this one anyway, which is fine. But for me, I think it's going to be. I think it could easily just be like a 2-1 Man City, given the way that we're playing and given the way Man City are playing. I don't want it to be, and I really want to see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer go for it in the way that we have last season. If you remember against Man City at the Etihad, we won 2-1 2-1 and then 2-0 at Old Trafford as well. But realistically, can we see that happening? Can we see a change in fortune against big teams this season?
No,
probably not. No. But my optimism is low at the moment for Man United, and if you have to rely on like a penalty or a moment or a free kick or something like that or a corner, then that's absolutely fine.
Should have had a penalty, Stonewall penalty against Chelsea. So we're not getting those at the moment. So we're not going to even get that.
Okay, never mind, because we were shit and we probably deserve to draw anyway. But my opinion of this game, I'll be honest with you, I can't see us doing. I can't even see us scoring a goal. I think we're set up so poorly in the big games. It frustrates me because we've had about 6-7 big games this season. We've scored one pathetic goal at home in a defeat to Spurs. One pathetic goal to Spurs at home. And we've failed to score against any other team after the top 6. And it don't make sense. I look at Arsenal. Everyone complains how everyone's been moaning and cussing Arsenal, how bad they've been all season. Manchester United failed to score against Arsenal. They failed to score against Rob Holding for 2 games.
And we can see that penalty as well against Arsenal at Old Trafford as well.
It just don't make no sense. And I think, I'm going to say it again, and it probably sounds like a broken record, but if Edinson Cavani doesn't play against Manchester City, we're not going to cause them problems. Because you've got arguably the best centre-back partnership in the Premier League this season. And probably trio, I would say, because whenever they literally miss one of them out, but whichever 2 are playing out of the 3, they always put in good forms. You got Diaz, obviously you got Stones, and you got Laporte.
And you can say that's one of the best strike partnerships they've got at the moment as well. Scoring goals for fun, Diaz and Stones. Fantasy football is mad at the moment.
100%. And I just think if you're going to put someone like Anthony Martial or even probably Mason Greenwood with that inexperience, I don't think they're going to be able to do anything to harm Manchester City. I think the only way we'll probably score is through a mistake, or obviously Bruno Fernandes just coming through with something special. I think if Cavani scores, we probably do have a chance just purely because of his experience and his off-the-ball movement. Regardless of how good the centre-back is, he's capable of catching them out with that off-the-ball movement. I'm going to say the same as what I said against for the Chelsea prediction. If Edinson Cavani doesn't play, we don't cause any problems, and Manchester City will beat us. And that's probably them just making a statement of charges there as well.
Could probably get a dodgy penalty.
That was expected, Salim.
Just remind us to tell Bruno if we do get a dodgy penalty not to score it, because it's the most sportsmanship thing to do.
Robbery.
No, I'm just thinking about sort of likely ways to score in it. That was all.
To be fair, we did score a penalty against them last season at the Etihad. Rashford scored, and then Martial scored the winner, I think. But yeah, was that all the predictions for the weekend, Roheel?
You got Spurs Palace as well. We'll go Salim on this one. Spurs Palace. Spurs playing at home. Palace off form. Spurs on form. Gareth Bale back in the mix. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Spurs 3-2.
High scoring game.
High scoring game. I think. I just think Benteke's got a goal in him at the moment, and Bale's got a couple in him.
Cool. We got 2 very good games as well this time next week. On the Monday, we'll open it up to everyone. You got Chelsea Everton. Chelsea playing at the Bridge. You got West Ham Leeds. West Ham playing at home. I'll give mine quickly first. I think Chelsea will draw with Everton, and I think West Ham will beat Leeds.
I can see West Ham.
I think West Ham are just more balanced.
Yeah, they've got more quality.
I have to say, I know we've talked about West Ham a lot previously with David Moyes and Lingard, but I have to say West Ham were really good against Man City. They're one of the best.
Yeah, they were very good. They made a game out of it, and to score there, like I said, it's not easy against that centre back.
I think West Ham should have won. I think West Ham
they've got a top class player from a top class team in Jesse Lingard. So
I thought for the moment you're going to say they got top class manager.
Yeah, I was leaning towards that as
well. That's a conversation for another day.
Jesse Lingard, we obviously know, he's got bags of ability, and he was incredible that game as well. When he picks that ball up in that hole, problem for anyone. Just a shame.
I think with West Ham, I think you just look from top to bottom though. Like the defense, their midfield, their attack, I think is pretty much balanced, and I think that's what David Moyes has been working towards since he's taken back over of West Ham, and I think it's really worked out for them. I think with Leeds, let's just get everyone on the attack. Let's see if we're going to get this many chances. Let's see if we can convert any of them. But I think David Moyes and West Ham will be ready for that. I think it'll be a very calculated game, and I think West Ham will win, and I think it will be comfortable as well. I just can't see Leeds causing them many problems with how good their defence has been this season.
And I reckon West Ham will go back to their normal team as well, like Bowen and Benrahma on the wings, or for now on the wings, and Lingard behind Antonio. That's where they work best, and that's where Lingard's kind of bringing the team forward. And seeing Lingard play in this form at the moment is really bright to see, actually. And again, it's really rewarding as a Man United fan to see what is going on at the moment. Sorry, Salah, go for it.
Yeah, no, just going to add that the whole, like, when you were just going to say, like, Arif was going to say top class manager, but he wouldn't say it because he's not Spanish. Well, he doesn't speak Spanish, and he doesn't sit on a bucket, so he doesn't qualify in his quota.
All right, man, all right. You have it, bro, have it.
I'm going to give you all one. I'm going to finish it off on one question, something different. If you could all be at one game this weekend, which one would it be? And you can't pick your own team that you support.
Oh, good question.
I'll be at Leeds, West Ham.
Probably going to say. I bet you two would probably say United game then. Arif and Roheel.
Yeah, well, if it was my own team, it'd be obviously United versus Man City, but we're not allowed to pick our own team.
Yeah, I know, that's what I just said.
This is Sal trying to be funny as usual, but yeah.
I'd probably pick the Manchester derby then if it was up to me.
You're able to say that.
For me, it's Leeds and Hammers.
I'd say Spurs Palace personally. I think that would be quite fun to see. And if Spurs carry on with their form at the moment, I'd say they were entertaining against Burnley. And Burnley, you know how they sit back normally. They couldn't handle Bale, Son, Lucas, and Kane all flying at them on the weekend, especially in that first half, which just ran riot. So I'd say Spurs Crystal Palace. I think that would be a good game to go and watch.
Well, I'm probably going to say Leeds West Ham as well. I think it'd be a good game to watch from a neutral point of view. Chelsea and Everton wouldn't be bad as well. I think watching them two teams have probably been a bit inconsistent as of late as well. Two teams with enough firepower in attack as well. Yeah, I think that's going to be a very good game to watch. But then on the flip side, that could also be a very boring game and it could finish 0-0.
Yeah,
that's what both teams are capable of.
I found Tuchel very boring for Chelsea so far this season. He's still trying to get his team right. That's why I found him very boring with Chelsea. They're getting the results, but they're quite boring still.
I think with Tuchel, you look at him, I think he's walked into a team where a lot of the players he wouldn't have signed, and I don't think played the kind of style he wants. I think that's what he's slowly realising. But I think it's just one of them ones you have to give him time. Obviously, whether Chelsea do or not, that's obviously that's up to them and that's their problem. Obviously, Saf thinks they're going to win the title next season.
That's why it's left to call.
We'll have to wait and see.
Leeds event boy to do with Leeds. When the other team isn't parking the bus, Leeds are always entertaining to watch. So I think West Ham are actually going to go for it instead of parking the bus. So it should be a good entertaining game, man.
Because that was surprising from West Ham as well. They played 5 at the back against Man City, but they didn't actually park, if you know what I mean. They had the 5 at the back, like Johnson on the left wing.
Yeah, they went for it better than United have this season against Man City. So I rate that.
Quick one. I know I keep rambling on and I keep asking questions and shit. Yeah,
I'm have to mention this one.
I'm have to mention this one because we've almost missed a massive game that's going to take place this weekend, and that's Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. Bayern Munich playing at home.
What day is that?
5:30 kickoff. Saturday, 5:30 kickoff.
Saturday.
It's going to be a good game. That.
I watched the Bayern Munich this weekend against that yellow team they were playing whilst I was watching it in the background. But again, Choupo-Moting started. And
I think he scored, didn't he? He opened scoring for them and Gnabry scored too. I think I've seen a bit of that, yeah. But what do you reckon, guys? Quick predictions. Bayern Munich playing home.
I reckon Bayern Munich will win, but it'll be an entertaining game because Jadon Sancho has been the youngest player to get 50 assists in Bundesliga history. And it goes to show what a talent he is and how well he's done going up the moment.
Yeah, Man United need to sign him. We need to sign him.
We need him.
We need a right winger.
I do not. What have you seen from Jadon Sancho to say Manchester United need him?
A winger
let's
that
be honest. Let's be honest. All right, you're saying the quality he'll provide linking up with our strikers and whatever. But when he has played for England with Marcus Rashford, has he done anything special? Or has
not really played in any big games. I think we'll get to see in the Euros what?
Yeah, but they're small games. There's small games in friendlies where you can't try stuff out and where there's not that much pressure on you. So if you can't play together well in a position, I'm not just judging it based on that, but I just think it's too much of a risk to put £120 million on a player like that, especially one that has shown at the start of the first half of this season how inconsistent he can be, which is obviously normal for a youngster. But do you really want to put 120 million on a player like that? In my opinion, I don't think we should go for him. But
I think money's not that much of an issue. Obviously, being Manchester United.
It is. It is. This is one thing. Let me interrupt. This is one thing Manchester United fans really get very wrong. Money is a massive issue in Manchester United, and I don't think we realise how much of an issue it is. Explain to me how you think it's not an issue.
Okay. It is an issue, but it's not like if we spend 120 million and he went, wrong. I think we can still recuperate a good amount of it. I don't think it's going to affect us as much.
How could we do that? Because we spent 80 million pound on a fridge, and we're just having to play him now. And our managers. Let me finish.
You don't like it's been a terrible purchase.
But our manager has come. He has. How is he not 80 million pounds?
Not at all.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Because you look at Diaz.
No, he's not.
You look at Diaz for City. You look at centre backs. That's what a centre back is supposed to come in and do. Ruben Diaz was not experienced in the Premier League.
Harry Maguire who's playing in front. Playing in front of Diaz, and look how they recover the ball and the way they play.
No, it does not matter. The reason why, okay, let's.
It's a lot easier to be a centre back for Manchester City than it is for Man United. We know that.
Explain to me how, please. Explain to me how.
The way Manchester City can win the ball back, they've got possession for most of the game,
and we haven't got players that come in. The reason why our midfield is having to play so defensive, and the reason why we play two CDMs is because of how bad Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are. It's not a case of look what Maguire's got in front of him. We need to look at the rest of the team and look what they've got behind them. The reason why Fred and McTominay have to play regularly and Matic has to play regularly and Pogba and Bruno miss out, well, not Bruno, but Pogba used to miss out a few games, was purely because of how bad our centre-backs are. And I still
maybe he's not an £8 million defender. He's not an £8 million defender. I've never said once he isn't, but he's not as bad as you make out.
He's not £80 million defender. He's not £80 million defender. He's not worthy of being the Manchester United club captain. That's a fact.
I agree with that.
But because
what we're saying, you're making him out to be a terrible defender, which is not.
But the reason why he is Manchester United captain is because the price that's being spent on him, and basically the Glazers have turned around to Solskjaer.
It's politics.
You're stuck with him. They're saying you're stuck with him.
Politics.
You've got to make it work. You've got no option now. Because let's be honest, if we put Harry Maguire on the market, who's going to come in for him and even spend 50, 60 million? No one. No one is. Let's be honest.
15. Probably West Ham would give about 15 or something.
He's not as bad as you make out, man. Honestly, he's not as bad as you make out.
I'd say our defense is better.
He's not as good as
Concert. He's not as good as Concert.
You stay out of this.
I'm being honest.
You just don't get involved.
I think Concert. Ask Roheel. Concert means that.
The one thing he was good for was headering out of his box, and even lately he's looked shaky at that. Don't get me wrong. He has some games where he looks like an absolute superstar. But if you want to look like a superstar, only some of your games, go play for a low-level team. Go play.
The thing is, he can only play in a 3 at the back. He can only play in a 3 at the back. That's it.
Or he can either play in a 3 at the back, or he can play in a back 4 that gets pressed the whole game, and all he has to do is when the ball comes, he has to header it out.
Okay, the original question was
when a striker. Let me finish. When a striker comes up against Harry Maguire and they've got good off-the-ball movement. You look at Olivier Giroud on the weekend, how he got in between Maguire and Lindelof. If he was on his day where he normally finishes, Chelsea probably would have won the game because number one, Werner got in a lot. Number two, Giroud had his chance as well. We could have conceded 2-3 easy goals, and that's where we're getting punished in other games. Sheffield United, West Brom. That's all I'm going to say. Sheffield United and West Bromwich Albion, the two teams who are probably towards the bottom of the table, especially Sheffield United. They came to Old Trafford and why? You look at both the Sheffield United goals in that game, they both were defensive errors. Okay, you can complain Maguire got fouled, but look how big the guy is. He shouldn't be getting fouled by someone smaller than him. If you're a centre-back and you're world class, you need to basically you need to show your presence. And Harry Maguire isn't that player. And it frustrates me whenever I speak to you about Harry Maguire because you think he's not that bad and he has some good games.
If you want to be a great I think he needs a better partner. I think he definitely needs a lot better partner than what he's been given.
I don't agree with that.
I think he needs someone a lot quicker.
All right,
you know,
all right. I don't
on
do
his
that
right hand
because
side.
I think Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are exactly the same. And tell me what Lindelof
Different
hasn't got that.
footballers.
Oh no, tell me what Harry Maguire has got that Victor Lindelof hasn't. Bear in mind, Victor Lindelof is faster than him. So tell me how Maguire is better than him.
I generally think Harry Maguire's got more presence at centre back than Victor Lindelof, and I think that's
Okay. So Harry Maguire's got more presence than Victor Lindelof. But with Harry Maguire in our defence, we've conceded more goals. So what presence?
That's not always just down. That's not always just down
is he
centre
showing
backs.
presence?
Again, you're being unfair.
Okay,
Again, you're being unfair.
Who's it down to if it's not down to the centre backs?
I think as a team we haven't defended well. We haven't defended well, especially across set pieces. As a team, we haven't.
You're not explaining your point very well. And it's not even set pieces. It is when the ball comes out to a wide man and the ball gets played in. Harry Maguire and Lindelof don't know whether they're coming or whether they're going. They don't know when to drop together, and they don't know when to come out together. One's always caught napping, and the team always scores.
The prime example for that was against Sevilla last season in the Europa League when it just got whipped across and everyone just looked at it until it was at the back post, and then that Sevilla
Exactly.
person, I forgot his name. Sorry.
And how many times?
What I'm trying to say is he's not as bad as you make out. Okay, I agree. He's not an £80 million defender. I agree. He probably shouldn't be club captain. If we had a better partnership next to Maguire, I think we'd be a lot more solid.
Would you start Tuanzebe or Bailly next to him, Arif?
No, I wouldn't. I think if you take Harry Maguire out of that team and you play Victor Lindelof and Eric Bailly, I guarantee you we will concede less goals for the rest of the remaining of the season compared to the first half of the season. I can guarantee you that.
But you have to remember, Roheel, that was when that was Mourinho's partnership when he got sacked. Remember, Bailly and Lindelof. You conceded 3 against Brighton as well.
It was also Mourinho's partnership when we were at the top of our game. We finished second in the league and we won a Europa League.
It wasn't. It was Bailly and Smalling, or Smalling and Lindelof. Smalling was there as our ever-present centre-back that season.
No, but obviously this one's saying, but the reason why Bailly has never ever had that consistent run is because of his injuries. But for big games in that season, Lindelof and Bailly. But that's the thing with Bailly, and that's the only reason why Lindelof and Maguire are stuck with each other. But Gary Neville made a very good point. He said Victor Lindelof cannot play well with Harry Maguire next to him, and Maguire can't do the same with Victor Lindelof because they just don't go together. It's just one of them things. But then one's a £30 million player and one's a £80 million player and who's a captain and who's English and who has Premier League experience. And I think that's where you have to shift the blame to. Anyone can play the blame game, but it's evident if you're going to spend that much money on a centre-back and this guy's the captain of your club, he has to take responsibility. It's like now, when Man United lose a game and let's say the team selection wasn't well, we're all going to blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, yes or no? But if the team selection is right and the defensive mistakes and your captain's in the centre of that and he's your most expensive defender, who's the blame going to go on to? Harry Maguire? Simple. Because when you're defending a set piece, for example, the Sheffield United one, the Everton one, if your centre back and your captain is in the middle here, he should be commanding everyone where to go, what to do. He's telling everyone to get in the line, and he's telling everyone when to go, yes or no. And it's shown that he hasn't got that presence with, I don't think, with his own players, never mind the opposition. I don't think there's players in the team that will see this guy as a good captain. Because when you see players like Pogba and Bruno and Rashford who have absolutely wrecked their socks off this season and scored the most goals in the Premier League, and then you're not in a title race because your centre backs are not good enough. And who's a centre back? Your club captain. Why would you take him seriously? Because I wouldn't. If I'm Bruno or I'm Rashford, I'm not going to take that guy seriously. But yeah, that's me done, rant over.
But
the original question was, would you spend £120 million on Sancho? Of course I would. And end of conversation.
But yeah, the original question was, what was the Bayern versus Borussia Dortmund prediction?
Sorry. But you spent about £50 on that England top. So I'm not going to take your... I'm not going to take your decisions. I spent 30 quid actually. On what you
and it's a beautiful retro England top, so I might say myself.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, Hamza, I interrupted, but can you continue, please? We don't hear any more about Arif.
No, you were the one that said... You were the one that was like Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich, and we got to Harry Maguire somehow. But yeah,
we're talking about Sancho.
We were talking about Sancho. That was the one, the 120 million. But yeah, going back, I said 3-2 Bayern Munich. I think it'll be an entertaining game. It'll be enjoyable to watch for me personally. But yeah, 3-2 Bayern Munich.
Should I put a big prediction out there? I'm going to say 5-1 to Bayern Munich.
I'm saying 3-2.
Reason being is Leipzig are on their tails. They're 2 points off them, and they're both with the same amount of games. Bayern, no, they can't really slip. I think Bayern are a team with the pressure's on, they'll come out. And I think against Dortmund, we've seen it before, is when they're on it, they'll actually destroy them. And Dortmund are not on the best of form. So yeah, I'm going 5-1 Bayern Munich. Call me crazy, but that's what it is.
Yeah, you got a few screw losers still.
3-1 Bayern.
But yeah, that was a fun little conversation, and listening to Roheel's rant about Harry Maguire. Somehow we got there from Dortmund versus Bayern Munich predictions. But no, we'll put our predictions on social media before the weekend, so that'll be fun for everyone to kind of look back on going forward as well. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you very much.
See you later, guys. In a bit. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Man.
Bye.
Peace.